You ever notice how, in every disaster movie, the real terror doesn't start with the earthquake, the blackout, or the mushroom cloud? It starts when the neighbors show up with empty hands and hungry eyes. That's the moment you realize your home isn't just a place to sleep. It's a lifeboat in a sea of desperation. And if you want to keep it afloat when society collapses, you need to make it unlootable. Not just tough, but so psychologically and physically daunting that even the most desperate scavenger would rather risk the wilds than cross your threshold. Let's get one thing straight. In a real collapse, your house is not a castle. It's a billboard. And unless you know how to flip the script, you're advertising free stuff, come and get it, to every opportunist with a crowbar and a grudge. But what if you could make your home vanish in plain sight? What if you could turn it into a psychological minefield, a fortress of confusion, a place so cursed and uninviting that even the boldest looter thinks, nope, not worth it. That's what we're building today, layer by layer, like the world's most paranoid lasagna. Let's start with the first and most overlooked weapon in your arsenal, psychological camouflage. Forget the Hollywood fantasy of crazed mobs battering down your door. Most looters are lazy, scared, and looking for the easiest score. Your job? Make your home look like a dead end. Picture this. After Hurricane Katrina, the houses that got hit hardest weren't the ones with the best stuff. They were the ones that looked untouched. The ones with boarded up windows, neat lawns, and a whiff of hope. The smart survivors? They let their yards go wild, scattered trash, and even spray painted already looted on the front door. It's not about looking tough. It's about looking empty, broken, and cursed. You want every passing scavenger to think, someone already picked this carcass clean. This works because in chaos, the human brain is wired to avoid unnecessary risk. If your home looks like a dead end, most looters will keep moving. But let's get real. Camouflage is just the first layer. What if someone's desperate or just too dumb to read the signs? That's when you need to think like a fortress architect, but not the kind who builds castles. You're building a maze, a time-wasting, noise-making, soul-crushing obstacle course. Start with your doors. Most people trust their locks, but here's the ugly truth. The average front door can be kicked in by a teenager with a bad attitude. You want solid wood or steel, reinforced frames and long screws, 3 inches or more, driven deep into the studs. Add a crossbar or a homemade barricade that drops into brackets behind the door. And don't forget the back door. Most looters do. If you can't afford new doors, at least reinforce the hinges and add extra deadbolts. Why? Because forced entry is all about leverage and weak points. The longer it takes to get in, the more likely a looter is to give up or get caught by someone else. Now let's talk about windows, the Achilles heel of every home. Glass is a joke in a world without 911. But you don't need bulletproof panes, you need deterrence. Security film on the inside of your windows is invisible, but it turns a single pane into a spiderweb of misery for anyone trying to smash through. If you have time, screw in metal mesh or bars on the inside, not the outside. Why inside? Because outside bars advertise that you have something worth protecting. Inside, they're invisible until it's too late. And if you're really pressed for time, even a few strips of duct tape in a crisscross pattern can slow down a smash and grab. The science here is simple. The more effort and noise it takes to get through a window, the less likely someone is to try. Every second counts when you're making your home unlootable. But let's say someone gets inside. Now you shift from defense to deception. This is where you become the magician, the trickster, the master of misdirection. You want to control where intruders go, what they see, and how they move. Block off hallways with furniture, create dead ends. Leave a few decoy valuables, an old laptop, a busted TV, right out in the open. Make it look like you've already been looted and the only things left are junk. Meanwhile, your real supplies are hidden in plain sight. False walls, floor safes, hollowed out furniture. The best hiding spots are the ones that don't look like hiding spots. Attic, under the stairs, inside air vents, behind a fake electrical panel. If you have valuables, don't keep them all in one place. Scatter them in unlikely spots. The attic, the crawl space, inside old appliances. The best hiding places are the ones that make a looter say, no way anyone would put something here. This works because under stress, people search the obvious first. The more you can disrupt that pattern, the safer your supplies. But here's a twist. Sound is your enemy. In a world gone dark, sound is a beacon. The clink of a pot, the hum of a generator, even a whispered argument can travel for blocks. You need to become a ghost. Blackout curtains aren't just for privacy, they're for survival. Use thick blankets, duct tape, whatever you have to seal every crack of light. Cook only during the day and use methods that don't produce smoke or strong smells. If you have to use a generator, bury it in a sound-dampening box outside, far from the house, and run a long extension cord. The science here is brutal. Sound travels farther at night, and in a silent world, even a cough can be a death sentence. The less anyone knows about your presence, the less likely they are to try their luck. But what about the truly determined? The ones who aren't fooled by camouflage, who aren't deterred by locks or silence? This is where you embrace the art of deterrence. You want to make your home feel cursed. Set up simple, low-tech alarms, tripwires with cans, broken glass under the windows, even a pile of gravel in front of the door. Anything that makes noise and buys you time. If you have dogs, great. If not, a cheap motion sensor or even a baby monitor can give you precious seconds of warning. And here's a trick from the old world. Post signs that say, quarantine, infection inside. In a world terrified of disease, nothing scares off a looter faster than the threat of plague. This works because fear is the oldest security system in the book. When people are desperate, they're also superstitious. Use that to your advantage. Now let's get a little darker. Sometimes the best way to avoid being looted is by not being there at all. The art of the fallback position. If your home is compromised, you need a plan B. A safe room, a hidden crawl space, even a tunnel to the backyard if you're feeling medieval. The key is to have a place where you can hide, wait out the danger, and escape if necessary. Stock it with water, food, and a way to communicate or signal for help. The science here is simple. In a true collapse, mobility is survival. The more options you have, the less likely you are to be cornered. But let's not forget the most important factor of all: community. The lone wolf fantasy is just that, a fantasy. In reality, the best way to make your home unlootable is to make your neighborhood unlootable. Build alliances with your neighbors, set up watch rotations, share resources and information. The more eyes on the street, the less likely anyone is to try their luck. This works because in biology, herd animals survive by sticking together. Humans are no different. In a collapse, your greatest asset isn't your gun or your stash, it's your network. Of course, all of this comes with consequences. The more you fortify, the more you stand out, unless you do it right. The more you hide, the more you isolate yourself. The more you trust, the more you risk betrayal. There's no perfect solution, but if you blend camouflage, fortification, deception, silence, deterrence, mobility, and community, you can make your home as close to unlootable as humanly possible. Let's dig deeper into the science of invisibility. In the animal kingdom, the most successful survivors aren't the strongest. They're the ones you never see coming. Think of the octopus, changing color and texture to blend into the rocks, or the Arctic hare, turning white in winter. Your home needs to do the same. Paint it dull. Let the paint peel. Let the weeds grow. Remove anything that signals wealth or preparedness. No solar panels, no shiny new locks, no obvious security cameras. If you have to use cameras, hide them in birdhouses or behind fake vents. The goal is to look like you have nothing worth taking. This works because in a world of scarcity, perception is reality. If you look poor, you're less likely to be targeted. But what about the inside? Here's where you get creative. False floors, hidden compartments, even a fake wall behind the bookshelf. If you have valuables, don't keep them all in one place. Scatter them in unlikely spots: the attic, the crawl space, inside old appliances. The best hiding places are the ones that make a looter say, "No way anyone would put something here." This works because under stress, people search the obvious first. The more you can disrupt that pattern, the safer your supplies. Let's talk about the psychology of fear. In a collapse, everyone is scared. Use that. If you have to defend your home, do it from a position of strength. Don't shout or threaten, just make it clear that you're not to be messed with. A single warning shot, a flash of light, even the sound of a dog barking can be enough to send most looters running. But never escalate unless you have no choice. The goal is to avoid conflict, not invite it. This works because in survival, the best fight is the one you never have to fight. Now let's address the elephant in the room: fire. In a true collapse, arson becomes a weapon. If someone can't loot your home, they might try to burn it down. This is where fireproofing comes in. Clear brush and debris from around your house. Store flammable materials away from the main structure. If you can, install metal shutters or fire-resistant barriers on the most vulnerable sides. Keep buckets of sand or dirt handy. Water might not be available. The science here is simple. Fire needs fuel, oxygen, and heat. Remove any one of those and you break the chain. But let's not forget about the long game. In a prolonged collapse, the biggest threat isn't looters, it's boredom, complacency, and the slow erosion of discipline. You need routines, daily checks of your defenses, regular drills with your family or group. Rotate your hiding spots, change your patterns. The more unpredictable you are, the harder you are to target. This works because in nature, the most adaptable species survive. Don't get comfortable. Comfort is the enemy of survival. And here's a final, uncomfortable truth. Sometimes you have to let go. If your home is truly compromised, if the threat is overwhelming, the best move is to walk away. Live to fight another day. Your life is worth more than any stash of supplies. Have a bug-out plan. Know your exits. Keep a go bag ready. The science here is brutal. In a true collapse, the only constant is change. Adapt or die. So how do you make your home unlootable when society collapses? You don't, not completely, but you can make it so uninviting, so invisible, so psychologically daunting that most looters will pass you by. You blend in, you fortify, you deceive, you stay silent, you deter, you stay mobile, and you build community. You become the octopus, the hare, the ghost in the ruins. And when the world finally comes back to its senses, if it ever does, you'll still be standing, unlooted, unbroken, and unbowed. But let's not stop there. Let's get into the weeds, the little details that separate the survivors from the statistics. Ever heard of defensive landscaping? It's not just for medieval castles. Thorny bushes under windows, cactus by the back door, gravel paths that crunch underfoot. These aren't just obstacles, they're early warning systems. Anyone trying to sneak up on your house will have to deal with a face full of thorns and the sound of their own betrayal. This works because in biology, the best defenses are the ones that work while you sleep. Let nature do the heavy lifting. And don't underestimate the power of darkness. In a blackout, most people are blind, but you don't have to be. Invest in night vision, even if it's just a cheap monocular. Learn to move in the dark. Practice navigating your home without lights. The science here is simple. The human eye takes up to 30 minutes to fully adjust to darkness. If you can see and your enemy can't, you own the night. Let's talk about the myth of the panic room. Most people imagine a steel vault with a bank door. In reality, the best safe rooms are the ones nobody knows about. A hidden closet, a false wall, even a reinforced bathroom. Stock it with essentials, but don't make it obvious. The goal is to disappear, not to fight. This works because in a true emergency, seconds matter. If you can vanish before a looter even knows you're there, you win. But what about the aftermath? Let's say you've survived the first wave. The looters are gone, but now you're facing a new threat. Organized gangs, desperate survivors, maybe even rogue authorities. This is where your preparations are truly tested. Rotate your defenses, change your routines, never let anyone see your full hand. The science here is evolutionary. Predators adapt, so must you. And finally, remember this. Survival isn't about being the toughest, the smartest, or the most ruthless. It's about being the hardest target, the one nobody wants to mess with, the one who's always one step ahead. In a world gone mad, that's as close to unlootable as you'll ever get. So when the world ends and the wolves come knocking, will your home be a beacon or a black hole? The choice is yours, but now you know. The secrets, you know the science, you know the art, and when the dust settles, you'll still be standing, unlooted, unbroken, and unbowed. But let's keep going, because if you're still here, you're not just a casual viewer. You're the kind of person who wants every last trick, every last edge, every last psychological advantage when the world goes sideways. So let's dig even deeper into the art and science of making your home unlootable, not just for the first desperate week, but for the long, grinding months that follow when the real predators start to emerge. Let's talk about layered defense, not just physical, but psychological, environmental, and social.
Think of your home as a series of concentric circles, each one designed to slow, confuse, and ultimately repel anyone who dares to approach. The outermost layer, that's your perimeter. In the old world, it was just a property line. In the new world, it's your first line of psychological warfare. You want to create uncertainty and discomfort before anyone even gets close. Motion-activated lights are great, if you have power. If not, go old school. Wind chimes made from scrap metal, fishing lines strung at ankle height, even a few strategically placed mirrors to catch and reflect moonlight, making it look like someone's watching. The goal isn't to stop a determined attacker, it's to make every step toward your home feel like a gamble. Now let's get into the environmental manipulation. This is where you use the landscape itself as a weapon. Defensive landscaping isn't just about thorns and gravel, it's about channeling movement, creating choke points, and denying cover. Plant dense, thorny bushes under every window. Let your hedges grow wild, but keep narrow, hidden paths only you and your allies know. If you have a fence, let it sag and rust. Make it look neglected, but reinforce it from the inside with wire or rebar. Stack junk, old tires, or even broken furniture and likely approach routes. Not only does it slow down intruders, it creates noise and confusion. And here's a trick from the world's oldest fortresses. Dig shallow trenches or scatter loose boards with nails in the tall grass. Anyone trying to sneak up on you barefoot or in the dark is in for a nasty surprise. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. But what about visual deception? Here's where you get to play chess while everyone else is playing checkers. The best survivors in history, spies, guerrillas, even wildlife, know that what you see is rarely what you get. Use decoys. Set up a fake stash in an obvious place, a locked cabinet with a few cans of food, a safe that's easy to find but impossible to open. Let looters waste time and energy on the bait while your real supplies are hidden in places nobody would think to look. Ever heard of the false bottom trick? It's as old as smuggling itself. A few inches of plywood in a closet, a hollowed out water heater, even a fake air duct can hide months of supplies. The science here is simple. The human brain is wired to search for patterns and shortcuts. Break the pattern and you break the looter's will. Let's not forget about psychological operations, the art of making your home feel haunted, cursed, or just plain unlucky. In the chaos of collapse, rumor is more powerful than any weapon. If you can, spread stories about your house. That place is booby-trapped. The last guy who went in never came out. I heard they're all sick in there. You don't need to be a master liar. Just let the neighborhood grapevine do the work. And if you really want to get creative, leave a few props. A bloody handprint on the door, a pile of burned clothes in the yard, a radio playing static at odd hours. The goal isn't to terrify everyone. It's to make your home the last place anyone wants to risk. But what if you're not home when trouble comes? The best defenses in the world mean nothing if you're caught off guard. That's why you need a system, a daily routine of checks, signals, and fallback plans. Set up a buddy system with your neighbors. If you see a red cloth in the window, it means all clear. If it's blue, it means danger, stay away. Rotate your hiding spots, change your routines. Never let anyone see your full hand. The science here is evolutionary. Predators adapt, so must you. Now let's talk about resource management, because nothing attracts looters like the smell of food, fuel, or fresh water. In a world without refrigeration, you need to be smart. Store food in multiple locations and never keep all your eggs in one basket. Use airtight containers to mask smells. If you're cooking, do it at odd hours and use smokeless methods whenever possible. Bury trash far from your home and never leave packaging or cans where they can be seen. The goal is to leave no trace, no scent, no sound, no sign that you have anything worth taking. But what about defending your home in person? Here's where things get real. If you're forced to stand your ground, you need to control the engagement. Never fight on the looter's terms. Use the layout of your home to your advantage. Narrow hallways, blind corners, and choke points. If you have to defend yourself, do it from a position of cover, not concealment. There's a difference. Cover stops bullets. Concealment just hides you. If you have firearms, know how to use them safely and legally. If not, improvise. A broom handle, a can of wasp spray, even a fire extinguisher can be a weapon in the right hands. But remember, the goal is always to avoid conflict, not win a war. The best defense is making sure the fight never happens. Let's get interactive for a second. Pause and ask yourself, what's your home's biggest weakness right now? Is it a flimsy back door, a window that doesn't lock, a neighbor who can't keep a secret? Make a mental note, because the first step to making your home unlootable is knowing where you're vulnerable. And if you're feeling brave, drop your answer in the comments. You might just help someone else survive. Now let's talk about long-term sustainability. In a true collapse, the first wave of looters is just a beginning. The real test comes weeks or months later when resources are scarce and desperation is the new normal. This is where your routines, your community, and your adaptability are put to the test. Rotate your defenses, change your patterns. Never let anyone get too comfortable with your routines. The more unpredictable you are, the harder you are to target. And here's a secret most preppers won't tell you. Sometimes the best defense is a good story. If you can convince the world that you're just as desperate, just as empty, just as broken as everyone else, you become invisible. Share rumors about your own misfortune. We got hit last week, lost everything. We're just trying to get by. In a world where everyone's looking for an easy score, the best hiding place is right out in the open, behind the mask of misery. But let's not sugarcoat it. There will be losses. No plan survives first contact with reality. You might lose supplies, you might lose ground, you might even have to walk away. That's why you need a bug-out plan, a go bag, and a rendezvous point with your people. The science here is brutal. In a true collapse, the only constant is change. Adapt or die. Let's wrap this up with a challenge. Tonight, when the world is quiet and the lights are out, walk through your home as if you were a looter. Where would you break in? What would you grab first? What would make you turn back? The answers might surprise you, and they might just save your life. So when the world ends and the wolves come knocking, will your home be a beacon or a black hole? The choice is yours. But now you know. You know the science, you know the art, and when the dust settles, you'll be the one still standing, unlooted, unbroken, and unbowed. And if you want more, if you want to go even deeper into bug-out bags, improvised weapons, or the psychology of survival, let me know in the comments. Because in the end, survival isn't just about what you have, it's about what you know, what you can adapt, and how far you're willing to go to protect what matters most. Stay sharp, stay hidden. And remember, in the apocalypse, fortune favors the prepared.